Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Krzysztof Zurad, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at Terabee. And I'm pleased to be joined by Baptiste Potier, a Product Director.
Hello, everyone.
We are also delighted to have one of our partners, SquareSense, joining us today. SquareSense will share with us a case study at the end of this presentation, so please stay tuned. We are also recording today's session, so we will make it available for you afterwards. Okay, so let's start by briefly introducing Terabee. So who is Terabee? We are a French leading sensing solution company that was founded in 2012, and we design and manufacture time-of-flight sensors, providing innovative products and solutions for smart building. We work with system integrators, solution providers, service providers, large end users, and resellers and distributors. And here you can see some logos of our partners and companies that we work with, but those are not all. In today's webinar, we will cover a few topics, starting from why to choose time-of-flight technology for people counting. We will also focus on LoRa and LoRaWAN, what it is, how does it work, and what is the 2023 IoT landscape. Then we will talk about what's new at Terabee, following the people counting in action, showing you a few of the use cases. And at the end, we will close with the Q&A session. Now, I'd like to pass the floor to Baptiste, who will provide us with the insight on what are the reasons for selecting time-of-flight technology in people counting solutions. Baptiste, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Chris. So let's try to first answer the question of why should I use a people counting systems? So if you start asking, what is the footfall behavior inside my building? What is the occupancy of my building? Or just how is my building really being used and what are the flows? Using a people counting system is crucial for giving you the raw data that will help you after to bring the metrics and optimize the operations to control your places. A people counting system is the valuable tool for businesses and organizations that are seeking to understand and optimize their operation by accurately tracking the movement of individuals inside their building. So you need this raw data coming from the conversions of people movement to be treated for unlocking the potential of your building. So here a few lists of operations. For example, optimize space by repurposing underused areas. Or for example, you have a collaborator that always book a 10 people meeting rooms for one person. Maybe it makes more sense to just cut off these meeting rooms into 2 different meeting rooms. You can also manage costs more effectively, like reducing unnecessary maintenance or optimizing energy usage by adapting the ventilation and the heat depending on the occupancy of your room. You could also improve staff allocations and operational efficiency by aligning schedules with peak traffic hours. So for example, in your hotels, you know that people arrive around 4 and 6 p.m. You adapt the staff to meet these peak hours. Use real-time data for immediate adjustment, like directing elevators for high occupancy floors. Evaluate your business performance over time, measuring the success of campaign, layout, or events. So redirecting your store layout depending on the typical path of your customers or marketing events. And last point, enhance security and safety with managing the crowd control and ensuring compliance with occupancy regulations. For example, a rooftop that has a maximum number of people occupancy for fire regulation. In short, people counting system drives smarter building management, ensuring optimal use of resources, safety, and regulatory compliance. So now that we have answered the use of the people counting solution, let's dive a bit into the technologies that Terabee is using. So Terabee is using time-of-flight technology for its devices. Time-of-flight technology uses infrared lights to emit light, which bounces back to the sensor from the object. And the time taken for this signal to travel allows us to calculate distances accurately. The main benefit of the solutions is that it reduced the processing. We obtain directly a depth map that is a grayscale image of distances, which allows lower computational requirements. And this in the end is optimizing the process because this depth map is directly processed out of the sensors, and the data that obtains the customer is accounting data of in and out. So there is not more that is going out of the sensor. In terms of accuracy performance, it's maintained in most conditions. So low light situations or strong backlight do not interfere with the systems. There is also various integration possibilities with other kind of hardware. It's not impacted. And last point, but not least, in terms of privacy, TOF respect privacy as it doesn't capture facial images. In summary, TOF technology offers accurate, efficient, and privacy-conscious solutions for various applications. Not that we have talked a bit of the benefits of the time-of-flight, especially regarding the privacy sections. I would like to dig into this general protection, data protection regulation, GDPR, that is often bring on the table when we talk about our people counting system in some projects. So the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is a legal framework that sets guidelines for the collections and the process of personal information from individuals who live in the European Union. The main key aspects of this GDPR is the following points. So you have the consent. So people need to accept that their data are processed. There is the data breach notifications. So people need to warn you if there is a data breach. There is a right to access and the right to erase this data. So you can ask to access this data and erase under certain conditions. And this is often a topic that appears when we talk with integrator, solution provider, and the end user about people counting projects. But with time-of-flight, since the sensor do not collect any personal data, the issue of obtaining the consent and the data process of those data is not applicable, as we are not collecting any data. We are not processing any personal data. There is no video or images recorded. So there is no risk of personal data breach. And to illustrate my words, I would like to show you on the left and on the right, we have the Terabee people counting LXL and the Terabee people counting M on the right, 3D depth streamline of the sensor. So as you can see, we cannot recognize people with this depth map. So it's basically a grayscale 3D images that represent only distances. So on the people counting LXL, we are recognizing a human shape. So basically the head and the shoulders. And this is based on this human shape recognition that we track the movement of the people to say if a person enter or exit a building or a room. And on the right, for the people counting M, basically we are looking at the pixel translation in the field of view of the sensor to say if it's an entrance or an exit. So now that we have covered the topic of why a people counting system and why a time-of-flight solutions, let's dive more into the communication part with the LoRaWAN. So, Chris, I let you take the end on this.
Thanks, Baptiste. So, for some of you, LoRa might be a new technology, and I'd like to briefly introduce it. So LoRa is a typically wireless modulation technique that allows devices to send small packets of data over relatively long distances and at the same time consume very little energy. And as you might see, LoRa stands for long range. But many people actually use LoRa and LoRaWAN, those two words interchangeably. LoRaWAN is a layer on top of LoRa that specifies the protocol layer, the communication protocol, and it provides a standardized way for IoT devices to communicate within LoRaWAN ecosystem. We can see that the growth of the LoRaWAN market is quite clear and evident, and it expands rapidly. Some studies suggest that by 2025, there will be more than 2 billion devices powered by LoRaWAN installed. Now that we have explored the basic concept of LoRa and LoRaWAN and the difference, let's dive into the typical LoRaWAN architecture in smart building setting and its key components. We begin with an empty floor map. To enable people counting devices powered by LoRa technology, several key components are needed. LoRaWAN gateways are strategically placed throughout the building to ensure seamless connectivity. These gateways capture data from devices and transmit it to the network server over a 4G and Ethernet connection. The network server acts as a central hub. It receives the data from the gateways, and then it passes this data to the end user application server to the final destination, where the data is stored, processed, and it provides actionable insights on the space occupancy. With this infrastructure in place, LoRaWAN powered people counting devices can be deployed, providing seamless over-the-air connectivity and accurate occupancy of data. Now that we have covered the architecture of LoRa technology, let's shift our focus to the main benefits of LoRa in smart building applications. Some of the main advantages are, for example, the indoor coverage. LoRa signals can penetrate walls, metal and concrete quite well, and very often a single gateway is sufficient to cover the entire floor or even multiple floors of a typical office building. It is easy to install. LoRaWAN devices can be installed by non-specialized workers, and it makes it quite interesting and suited to retrofit market. Another very important point of advantages of LoRa is the private networks, because LoRa provides and enables organizations to install completely private network that is independent from the existing IT infrastructure. And finally, LoRaWAN establishes a worldwide ecosystem, so in applications and devices for smart building and operators to access. We have now seen the LoRa technology can be powerful in smart building environment. Let's get an update of what's new at Terabee. Back to Baptiste.
Thank you, Chris. So now, as we have covered a bit why use people counting sensor and the LoRaWAN landscape, let's hear the announcement of the last people counting LoRa that we just released last week. So this device is a complement to the people counting LFL LoRa devices, but it's a solution that is designed for single door usage. With a power range of 1030 volts, it's simple to install and set up in smart building environments. Also, we added a 010 volt output for direct data communication with the BMS. So this, we really tried to, on this aspect, to reach a more integrated solution for BMS system and smart building integrator. We have enhanced the web GUI with a smoother installation process, and we have added a more complex layer of MQTT device management and also LoRa device management part. So while leveraging the long-range capabilities of the LoRaWAN technology, you can deploy faster along with enhanced robustness and flexibility. And so one of the key benefits of the LoRa also is that you don't require to set a connection with the end user IT infrastructure, so providing an extra layer of data security. And let's see how now we we install this people counting in LoRa and what challenges and problem we face and we resolve with these solutions through different use cases. So the first use case we want to present is a space and flow monitoring. That is, let's say, the most traditional use case that we cover with our system. So for this use case, we work with a large property owner who rents out sections of their multiple multi-story buildings. Their aim basically was to cut costs by maximizing the use of available space, and their tenants also wanted to understand actual space usage to save costs and ensure a comfortable work environment. So here the challenges included they had large open workspaces and meeting rooms to cover. So that's why the LoRaWAN was a good solution. There were GDPR privacy and concerns from the tenants of the building. So no camera possibilities because the syndicate didn't want to have the risk of any personal identification issue. And also for the building owner, it means that they don't need to have paper and law about the consent of the data to be processed or etc. So we are out of the GDPR with the time-of-flight here. And also they wanted to avoid interfering with existing IT networks as creating a separate network for PoE and cabling, especially in Haussmann style building was challenging and costly. Another use case here with bank facility managers. So bank facility managers, so banking institutions required accurate, super anonymous. So we are over the GDPR rules here. And so yes, anonymous data to streamline building operations. So the key area of focus were operational optimizations, including cleaning maintenance, canteen, access control and security, better staffing budget management, employee comfort and productivity. And the need also, they really needed that all the reporting and the control panel part is integrated into their already existing solutions. So here we are quite in a challenging environment as the banking industry is quite a sensitive environment. So the solution had really to respect 100% privacy with no use of camera. And additionally, the institution's IT networks post certain conditions demanding a solution that didn't interfere with their existing systems. And there was also a need for a robust backup option to ensure business continuity. So they always needed a second option in case the first options go down. And here, yes, typically the solution of the people counting LXL in LoRa, so with the LoRa infrastructures, it's accurately counting the number of individuals present in the building at any given time. And this, for the facility managers, it's improved both the employee, but also the premises safety and security. Recognizing also the peak usage times in communal spaces, the management could schedule cleaning or maintenance tasks in a way that it minimizes the disruption of the customer visits. And this allows, of course, the facility manager to have an overview of the building operation and respond promptly to any issues. In all, the time-of-flight and the LoRa system successfully met the institution's unique challenges, providing reliable, secure, and efficient solutions that improved the overall building management while respecting stringent privacy requirements. Chris.
And thanks, Baptiste. We have also worked with a few universities, and their facility managers have shared with us that they were struggling to optimize the use, for example, of rooms and spaces like libraries, lecture halls, and study rooms. And they also wanted to improve the resource allocation in cafeterias and internal small shops, as well as obviously enhance the energy efficiency and reduce costs and better schedule systems. In essence, they really wanted an effective system to gain accurate data on large and typically random traffic flow across the whole university campus. One of the main challenges in university the university face is obviously GDPR compliance. Any solution needs to be fully anonymous and it needs to respect the individual privacy. Furthermore, often the university have quite complex and complicated architectural layout where making a new installation or any new technology is quite a challenge. Also, budget constraints also further complicate the whole issue, and they limit the scope of potential possible solutions. And with time-of-flight people counting LoRa sensor, we managed to offer a breakthrough solution, thanks to which the data could be transmitted over long distance using LoRaWAN, making it suitable for a vast university and complex architecture. A continuously accurate people counting flow system was needed to capture large random flow of students at any time to ensure good traffic data. And with that was the last use case that we presented from Terabee side. Now I'm pleased to invite Philippe from SquareSense, our partner, to share with us their case study. Philippe,
thank you for the.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So thank you for the introduction. So I'm Philippe from SquareSense. SquareSense is a PropTech operating with large institutional investors across more than 10 European countries. And we provide end-to-end single contract for our client, going from IoT acquisition to installation, configuration, and integration into our SaaS platform. This is available for asset owners, managers, and corporate tenants. The reason we chose to partner with Terabee is mainly because some of the aspects on GDPR compliance that were mentioned, and the capacities of the people counting sensor solution that are provided by Terabee. Why do we use them? We use them with our clients in order to reduce the energy consumption on their portfolio and to optimize the use of their space. We have deployed this kind of solution within institutional investors' portfolio and have managed to solve several problems with them. First is the understanding of the occupancy level of each space within the building, going from common areas to private areas of each of the tenants in those buildings. And then we use this data process into our platform in order to come up with actions that can immediately reduce costs and increase revenue. The solution that we implemented over more than 400,000 square meters as of today result in 15% cost saving on energy cost, mostly related to HVAC systems, and around 75% increased usage of common areas, mostly focusing on business centers, meeting room, and corporate restaurant spaces. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Philippe, for this interesting case study. So with that, we reached the end of the webinar presentation. Now it's time for questions. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. We are happy to address all of them. On the right side, you should see a chat. At the bottom, there is a small icon showcasing a chat. You can click on it and it will open up on the right side. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box.
So we have
thanks, Javier. Security communication, what kind of ciphers use? So essentially, LoRaWAN is built from scratch using security in mind. You don't have to worry about security layer, because the way the whole protocol is designed allows the secure communication between the device and the application server, as well as the network server. So it's already provided by the nature of the technology out there.
How do you validate accuracy? And then from Elizabeth Hopkins, and then there is another question from Krzysztof. Hello, how is the accuracy measured? So yes, 10 minutes, okay. So how is accuracy measured? So basically, it's a people counting flow system. So meaning that you measure the entrance and the exit of person. So the 98% is the a percentage that of entrance and exit. So for example, 100% enter exit building. When we say 98 accuracy percent of accuracy, it means that we can miss 1 or 2 people, up to 2 people out of 100. And how it's measured? Basically, each time we do some algorithm modification, we do a test, internal test on multiple devices. So we do up to 1,000 passages to validate this 98% accuracy internally. And then we have partners that install in different use cases, supermarket, retail, smart building, that help us also. We make once they install, they make 2 hours, 3 hours audit, where they control that the people counting system accuracy is relevant of this 98% with a ground truth. So 1 person live there counting manually and verifying that the sensor meets the requirements.
So another question regarding the security. Yes, this is a AES algorithm, and essentially it works in a way that each device has security keys that are shared on both the device side and the network server side. And thanks to those keys, they securely establish connection generated, and they generate another set of keys called application session key and network session key that allows for the device to communicate with the network server.
And yes, the counts are dates and timestamps, exactly. Maybe any other questions? You're welcome, Xavier. Bye-bye. Can we define regions to control?
I guess it means the counting.
The counting. So yes, on the people counting Excel, when I don't know if you remember the GIF when I show. So basically there is a counting zone. So there is a in counting zone to draw. So you draw the zone, counting zone, and then you have the in and the out. So yes, you can define the region where people come in and the outflow. Okay, for the people counting Excel, you can define the areas that you want to control. For the people counting M, as you saw, it's a 8x8 pixels. So this device is really dedicated to single door usage. So this one is just placed in front of a single door, and it can just count 1 person at a time on one direction. So no, on this one, you're a bit, let's say, limited to 1 passageways.
Regarding the data format types, when you use LoRa technology specifically, the data type is essentially it can be anything that is supported by the network server, because when the device communicates with the network server, it uses the proprietary technology of LoRaWAN. So it's a small binary packet that is being sent and compressed to essentially make the packet as small as possible. And then you can provide, typically in the LoRaWAN ecosystem, this packet is then decoded through payload formatters, so to speak, into a JSON format. And then this JSON format is sent from the network server to the application server or to any application side of the entire ecosystem.
Maybe we can add also that on the PoE version, we have HTTP and MQTT data communications that are a bit more on the IoT part. It's common data communication protocol.
So depending on the version, there is a different format, let's say, of data.
So HTTP MQTT for the PoE version and LoRa.
And for LoRa, yes. Okay, thanks a lot for all of your questions. I think that we are getting to the end of the webinar. Thanks a lot for your participation. If you have any other questions, please contact us later, send us an email. We are happy to answer any of your questions and concerns regarding people counting or time-of-flight or LoRa technology.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
And thank you, Philippe, for sharing with us your use case. It was very interesting and insightful.
Thank you.